Hello, it is the Mama Twins plus 2. I hope you like my hat, Mama 4. I made them myself, so you can always get these if you need one. Um, Always coming to you with things about the NICU, what to expect in the NICU, what's different about the NICU, and also premature babies and twins. Alright, so today's topic is going to be things that I wish somebody would have told me about the NICU or having preemies. And so I went into one of my many Facebook support groups, which I've told you all already that that is something great to utilize. Is Facebook groups, in-person groups, just support groups. So I went into my support group and pull some of these things that people wish they would have told them about the NICU or preemie or premature babies before they went. So they're not in any type of specific order. I am gonna like do some comparisons of things that may have happened, and then like just kind of go through the list. Okay, so the biggest thing that a lot of people said. So in this group, there was probably in this comment there was probably 100 or so comments, and one of the ones that kept coming up was make sure you take care of yourself. Like, don't feel guilty. Take a day. Your kids may be in the NICU for 5 days. They may be in the NICU for 100 days. And so as a mom or as parents, you sometimes feel guilty when you're not there with your kids. But as they're being taken care of in the NICU, you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, which means get some sleep. Maybe you skip one day not going to the NICU, because you can always call and get follow-ups and check up on them if you need to go up there. Just don't feel guilty to skip a day, or don't feel guilty to take care of yourself, okay? Because if you're not taken care of, you can't take care of your child. So the biggest one that a lot of people said they wish people would have told them was to take care of themselves, which means get sleep, make sure you're eating healthy meals, taking care of yourself. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, like I said, you can't help take care of your child, right? Okay. Another big thing that people said was don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty that your child's in the NICU. Don't feel guilty that your child's premature. It's not your fault. There's nothing you could have done to prevent your child. Like, it was their time to come. They came, and so don't feel guilty. Okay, don't beat yourself up about it. It's not your fault. Again, it's okay to miss a day for if you need sleep, if you need to make sure you eat, if you just need an emotional relief, like just relief from all the emotions that sometimes can tire you out and wear you out, from all the emotions that you experience with your child being in the NICU. Another big thing is make sure you express your opinion. You are the advocate for your child. Your child can't talk. Your child can't they can't speak for themselves. So you're your child's advocate. So if you feel a type of way about something that's going on, make sure that you speak up. Make sure that you voice your opinion. Sometimes, your doctor might get upset. Sometimes your nurse might get upset. But you can't worry about their feelings, because at the end of the day, it's about your child. So make sure that you're speaking up for them. If you have any questions, make sure you're asking your questions, okay? Those are things that people go into the NICU and they're scared about. They don't want to step on the doctor's toes. They kind of just want to go with whatever the doctor says, which is fine. They're the expert. So more than likely you're going to go with the doctor. But every now and then there's going to be something different, or you're going to see something different that you feel like there's something wrong, and you need to voice your opinion, okay? So there was a few stories about like you can look at your child. You've been there every day for the most part, off and on, so you can tell when there's something different. So like, say your child's on oxygen and something is going on with their respiratory. Well, sometimes you don't get the same nurse. Maybe this is the first time the nurse has even ever worked with your child, but you see something that you think may be wrong. Make sure you speak up, because something may be actually wrong, but the nurse, this is the first time the nurse has worked with your child, so they may think to them that that's normal. So just speak up. In my experience, in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of formula. Okay, I mean, there's nothing wrong with formula, and if you have to have formula because you can't produce, or whatever the reason may be, there's nothing wrong with formula. But for me, I'm a heavy producer, and so my previous child was fully breastfed, and so that's what I expected for my twins. So when they came and they say, okay, they give all premature babies this formula, Neosure. Okay, well, when I went to go look at the reviews for Neosure, so many people were saying that their kids were spitting up on it, or they were having stomach problems, or they were this, or they were that. And so they wanted to give it to them twice a day. Well, I said, well, let's do once a day. Let's see how it works. Let's see how it does, because I would prefer they be fully breastfed. I understand the benefits of them being on this formula, but with all the things that other people are saying, and with how I feel about formula, and that wasn't an expense that I wanted to take on unless it was absolutely necessary, we went to once a day. Well, of course, the doctor went down the list of all the benefits and all that, and I said, okay, well, I understand all the benefits. I understand why you give them the formula. I understand why you want to do it twice a day. But as their mother, I want to do it once a day. And they couldn't do anything but agree with me. And that was my opinion. That's how I felt. And that's what I wanted for my children. And so just make sure that you speak up for your children, that you advocate. And then, of course, like, one of them started spitting up a whole lot. So what did I say? Well, let's take them off the formula and see if that's the cause for it. So just speak up and always be their advocate, okay? Know that you're not alone in your feelings about how you feel about your child being in the NICU. Whether you have mixed emotions, whether you feeling drained, just know that when you pass by as a parent, even though they're smiling on the outside, they have all those same mixed emotions on the inside. And so what I found myself doing was making friends with those parents, speaking to them, just the hey, how are you doing can be an uplifting thing for you or them both. And just sharing sharing what you have going on in the NICU with your kids may just be a relief to you to find out that there's not just me going through this, but all these parents with kids in the NICU, their reasons may be different, their stories may be different, what their children are going through may be different, but the emotions on the inside are probably about the same. So that was my personal one. It's just to make friends, or even if you don't make friends, just speaking to people, smiling at them when you're coming in and out of the NICU, because trust me, you're going to see some of the same people a lot, okay? Mind you, my twins are in the NICU 57 days. I came across the same people, and you see people come and you see people go, and you see people, get to go home while you're still there. And those emotions come across you like, I want to go home. But another thing that people say is just be patient. Your baby will come home when it's their time to come home. You don't want them to come home before it's too early and then you have to go back. So although you're in a hurry and you want them to come home, I know, trust me, it was a feeling every day. I just want them to be home. I don't want to have to go to the hospital. I don't want to have to talk to nurses and doctors every day. I just want them to come home. And even in that, with twins, one of them came home and one of them had to stay at the NICU. And that's a topic for another video. But that's a whole different type of emotions in itself. So just be patient and just don't rush them. I promise you, when they get ready, they're going to be ready and they'll get to come home, and that way they don't have to go back to the hospital. Okay, so that was one thing. Be patient. They'll come home when they're ready. Don't ask the doctor every day when they're going to get to come home, because the doctor doesn't know. The doctor doesn't have an answer for you. They kind of have a list of things that, you know, your child has to accomplish before they can come home, which is a topic for another video. But just be patient. I promise you it's gonna be okay. But just be patient, okay? Another suggestion was journal. Journal everything. Journal your experience every day. Journal how you feel every day. Journal what's happening with your baby, you know, every day. And so that way you can go back and you can see all the things that you had. Write down any questions that you may have. I know I used to sit at home and be like, oh man, I forgot to ask this question. Oh man, I forgot to ask that question. Just write your questions down. When your doctor or nurse practitioner comes around for their rounds, you've got all your questions in your journal. And you can ask them and even jot down the answer if you want to. But that was one mistake that I didn't make. And I used to have questions all the time. And sometimes I would go up there and the nurse wouldn't even be making the rounds on our floor yet, or they've already made the rounds, and so I couldn't ask the questions, or I had to request for them to come talk to me, which is another wait. So just always have your questions ready, and don't be afraid to ask questions. No question is a stupid question, because you don't know. This is a new experience for you, and so just make sure you're asking your questions. That's my biggest one. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Expect the unexpected. Okay, you never know what to expect. So like I said, with the twins, they were both supposed to come home on the same day. That was what we expected, right? But the unexpected was the day we went to go pick them both up, one of them had a Brady spell, and so we had to wait 5 days before he could come home, and that was unexpected. So that was like a whole nother mix of emotions. So always expect the unexpected. Things can change always. One day they're doing excellent, the next day, you know, they might have backstepped a few steps and then go forward some and then come back 2 steps, and it's okay. They're working at their own pace, you know, because they'll even with the twins, at one point, they had both got to the point where they were both off of oxygen. They were both out of their little isolates. And then the next day I came back, one of them was back in their oxygen. They were both back in their isolates. And so, you know, I learned not to rush that. So they're like, oh, well, we'll try to take them out of their isolates again in 24 hours. I was like, well, let's just wait 48 hours. That way, for sure, when they're, you know, that they build back up, they got everything together, and then we gradually, you know, drop them back down and see, because maybe we just rushed it a little too much. And so I learned to be patient. Okay, I really learned to be patient. And I am that one. Okay, take pictures no matter what. Okay, make sure you're taking pictures. I know you don't sometimes think that you want the memory of when they were a little bitty thing that barely could you could hold in your hand. I know you may not think you want the memories with their tubes in their nose, but what I find is when you go back and look at those pictures and then you look at them now, it shows how far they came. Like, yeah, they was there. Yeah, it was a little sad, but look how far they've come now. You know, look, the twins came from 2 pounds. Now they're 11 pounds, you know. And so I can look at those pictures and I can say, oh, I remember when I could just hold them in my hand. And now look. So I didn't share those pictures like on Facebook or with my family. Those are my personal pictures for me and my husband and my kids at home. I did not share those pictures on Facebook because I didn't want them out there like that. I didn't want people to see them like that. But I wanted them for myself. I wanted the memory. So even though in your mind you may be thinking you don't want those pictures, I promise you, you'll regret it if you don't. So take the pictures, even if you put them away where you can't see them right now, you will want them. Okay. Let's see. Did I miss anything else? And then the last one that a few people said, and I know we want to stay positive. We want to, know that everything is going to be okay. But just know everything doesn't end well. It just doesn't. It's sad. And I read a lot of stories, and that's why you have support groups. It just doesn't. You hope for it, you pray for it, you wish for it. And we want it to always end well, but sometimes there's another purpose. Sometimes there's something different that's supposed to happen. So just know that those emotions are there, that things happen. I expect the unexpected. But everything's gonna be okay, and you're gonna make it through your experience, okay? So just be patient, ask questions, keep learning. And though that is our list of things that people wish somebody would have told them. And if you have a premature baby or a NICU or a baby in NICU, drop in the comments some things you wish that somebody would have told you about your baby being in the NICU or premature. Y'all have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.